Hey, housewives, come on in. You know the dirty dishes are still in the sink from yesterday and the laundry is still in the basket. Pop your AirPods in and make yourself at home here.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Tori.
And we are your Unlikely Housewives. Stepping out in faith and believing that God calls the unlikely, we are here to show you the appreciation and validation you deserve, lead you to authentic relationships, and release you of believing the cultural lies to restore your faith and wellness.
Pull up those high-waisted yoga pants, tighten your top knot, and reheat your coffee for the third time. Turn up the volume, and let's go.
Hey, housewives, welcome back.
Hey, housewives, we're so happy you're here, and we have got a treat for you. I don't know who else's love language is travel.
Me.
Yeah, you and I are like, our bags are packed.
Yeah,
Let's go.
where do we go? When?
And we'll go with anybody, really. It doesn't matter. Family, no family, it's fine. Yeah. Oh, that sounds lovely, doesn't it?
It does right now.
Actually, yes. I mean, I love my family, and I went to... But so I am introducing you guys to a dear, dear friend of mine, and I have known her now for 5 or 6 years, because it'll be 6 years I've been in Kansas. And she's one of my dearest friends. She is my go-to travel partner. Anytime she's going somewhere, I'm like, do you need some support, mental support, or emotional support? I'll just go with you. And we can tell that story later in particular. But it's too funny because I can actually see the back of her house from the front of my house. And so she came on over here to record with us in person, which is always a treat too. But she has got a special set of skills, dare I say. And we'll go into that in a little bit. But here is Kristin Smith.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you, because I know we're going to talk about something that I know a lot of families, like with kids, talk about and see if it's even a possibility. And Kristin does moments of magic travel, and she specializes with Disney. So tell them just a little bit about your history with Disney before Moments of Magic Travel came into play.
Well, I am a self-proclaimed Disney adult. love Disney. My husband and I, actually, we traveled to Disney prior to getting engaged, getting married, without kids, everything, and just fell in love with Disney, the magic, the creation, everything that you can. I walk in, I literally have tears sometimes. I'm that in love with Disney. And kind of a backstory for us, our love for Disney was solidified when my husband proposed in front of Cinderella's castle at Walt Disney World on his birthday.
So I didn't know it was on his birthday.
It was on his birthday.
That's cute.
Unfortunately, the fireworks show we watched is in the past. We've moved on to a couple other ones, but I'm excited we actually had Happily Ever After come back last night. Super exciting. But we had a connection with the fireworks, with just Disney in general. Little side fact too, everybody that does not like It's a Small World, it's my favorite ride. And it's the ride that we went on right after we got engaged.
Aww.
So once again, it kind of brings everything full circle. But
it's so fun to take your family back and tell your kids, like, this was here.
Yes, it's been here since the beginning. And well, really, that kind of just spurred everything. We started following vloggers and bloggers, and we just started planning more and more trips. And then all of a sudden, I'm planning for my friends and giving all of my tips out. And I was like, wait, I think I can do this kind of as a side job. And you guys know me, but I stay at home. We have another business, but both kids are in school. So I was like, this could be something that I could really take my talents and share with others. And that's where finding Moments of Magic Travel kind of came about.
Yeah. Well, even before the Moments of Magic Travel, let's put all your cards on the table. You have season passes. That is a yearly commitment.
Yes.
I mean, to go to Disney. So this isn't just when we can get there. It's no, we go 3 to 4 times a year at least.
Yeah. And we also are Disney Vacation Club owners. So that's Disney's version of a timeshare. So that also allows us to go multiple times a year. We probably try and make it 3 to 4 times a year. I had to laugh one year. I did the math and we had been in the parks 25 days and we live in Kansas. And people are like, what? Huh? Like they look at us like we're crazy, but we had just scheduled enough family trips, weekend trips. My husband and I have done a 36-hour trip to Disney, literally flown down, did Epcot and Magic Kingdom, and then flew back the next day. That's just how much fun we have there. But it also shows the flexibility of the brand. It's not only family oriented, but can be couple oriented as well.
Yeah.
And it goes cross generations. It's not just for preschool kids. It's pre-K, teenagers, young adults, and their grandparents.
Yeah.
And getting to experience all of that together as well.
Yeah. And that's something too, that you think that you have just a short amount of time. Like, well, okay, are my kids really going to enjoy it when they're 2 because they're not going to really remember it? And then you're thinking, okay, well, I've got that years 5 to 10 where they'll think it's cool. And then teenage, like, are they really going to think it's cool? But like, there's something cool and enjoyable for everybody.
Exactly. We actually were talking about this last week. I was at Disney with a training and that got brought up is, when they're 2, are they going to really remember it? And somebody goes, well, they started walking at 18 months or 15 months, whatever. Do they remember that? No, but you do as a parent. And that's a memory for you. Might not be their memory, but it's your memory as a parent and as a family.
Oh, I like
Which
that.
really was like, it hit me in the heart because I was like, that's exactly why we take our kids.
Whether it's Disney or to a beach or wherever, the family vacations is for the memories, for the family, especially the parents. And as the kids get older, they'll start to retain those memories too. Yeah. I like that.
And then I had a client too, grandparents went with their grandkids and she was like, this is a memory we'll never be able to make again. This is such a core memory special to her. And, she at her age, she's like, I'm not going to be able to go to Disney or go on all of their vacations. But it was a very special moment for them as a whole, which is, like I said, it goes from all ages, all the way through the whole generation, which is really important. It's about those memories, not necessarily the kids or whatnot, but it's everybody's going to have a special memory. And that's what's really important.
Absolutely. And I think this year, more so the last couple of years as my girls are getting older, he is almost double digits. Good Lord, help me. Please, mamas, start to pray for me.
I've got some books you might need to start reading.
All right, thanks. It may take me that long to get through them. But Jay is 8.5, but I'm focusing more on experiences with them. Like this year, Andrew and I were planning some stuff and like, we're going to concerts and things with them. Like, let's go experience things. Like I want, one of their Christmas gifts was horse camp. That is what I want to provide because my house, I'm trying to declutter, decrapify, whatever Marie Kondo. And I said that totally wrong because I get it? Okay, good. Hey, cool. And that's very rare, actually. And y'all, audience, know how rare that is that I said something right. But like, those are the things and the pictures. And I want pictures all over my house of the experiences that we had at a family and different times. And it doesn't have to be a whole lot. So let me start there. When people are considering traveling, let's just say anywhere, what do they need to know about using a travel agent like you? Because there's so many misconceptions about what a travel agent does, can do, cost, benefits, all the things. So tell us a little bit about why we highly recommend using someone like you or yourself.
First off, a lot of people think that it costs money to use travel agents. Most travel agents, their services are completely free. Now, that's not the case for everybody. So if you are working with an agent, you want to ask them, is there a fee involved? If so, what does that cover? Because they're going to be very clear as to what services they offer for that price. My services for any of my brands that I work with are completely free. A lot of people ask, well, how can that be? You're working, and it's the brand takes care of us, which I think is great. So that's one thing. Utilize the knowledge.
All brands take care of you.
Yes.
So and not just Disney, but like all the hotels, they all will.
Yes. Yeah. Any brand that I work with, and I work with quite a few. A lot of people think I just specialize in Disney, which is my main travel,
that's your specialization.
Exactly.
That's our expertise.
I also work with Universal Studios, both coasts, Disneyland, all of the Disney, because there's several. A lot of people don't realize Disney has beach properties that are available to book as well, not just the theme parks. Cruise lines. Let's see what else. All-inclusives. There are family-friendly all-inclusives out there. So if that's something you want to do, that's something we can help with. But the brand itself takes care of us as agents, which is really nice. So it takes that away from you as the traveler. You don't have to worry about that added expense. So that's key. One thing I like to point out to people, because it's a misconstrued idea, I'm going to have to pay that much more. And I'm like, no, I'm free. And you get all of my knowledge, all of my experience with it. Another one is we're always working for you. So in the case of Disney, they like to drop deals and promos, and they like to do it really early in the morning. A lot of times my clientele, my travelers, already have the promo applied to their trip if it works before they even wake up. So I'm always on the lookout for a deal for you to make your trip a little bit less expensive, because then you get more bang for your buck while you're on vacation. Maybe you save $200 to $300 on your package. Now you can maybe upgrade to a special event at the parks, or do Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique with your daughter and have her dress up as a princess. That's something maybe you didn't have the option to do before. So I'm always helping look for ways to make your trip more affordable. Other things, if say, and especially in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of, trip cancellations last minute. As a travel agent, that's what I do. I get to deal with the brand. You don't have to sit on hold for 4, 6, 8, 12, however many hours it is. That's what I do. I get to sit on hold and work with them to help fix, any issues that arise.
Okay. And this is where I get to tell my cancellation story. Okay. Because this almost made me lose my ever loving mind. Okay. So we love, as a family, we love to travel in October. October is just our family month. Yes, we take our kids out of school. And you can judge me all you want. I do not care. And we try to pair the times that we have done Disney, we pair beach and Disney at the same time, because after Disney, you typically need a vacation. And so, or a couple of recovery days, if anything. So that's my own personal tip to you. But my husband and I, with his traveling, we had a lot of Marriott points. Yes, I'm calling you out, Marriott. Had a lot of Marriott points. They had scheduled to open a new property within Disney, on Disney property. And it was going to be Marriott Swan something or other.
Reserve. The Swan Reserve.
Swan Reserve. See, even Kristin remembers. Andrew, we was watching it because it had not opened when it was scheduled to open in September. And so he kept calling and they're like, oh, yep, we've got your reservation here. We've got your reservation here. We're good. We're good. Even to the week before. We're good. Yep. No, we're getting our certification of occupancy. Great. Fantastic. Andrew calls 2 days before we leave. Nope, sir. We will have that and we are good to go. Literally was it the night before we left?
Yes.
Yes. It was the night before we left. And Andrew just happened to check his email at 8:00 at night. And Marriott had sent us a lovely email letting us know that our reservation was canceled. And that was it. That's all that they said. So he immediately gets on the phone and is talking to them. They're like, sorry, sir, we didn't open, we didn't get our certification like we were supposed to. So your reservation has been canceled. And he's like, well, what can you do for me? Like, I am showing up tomorrow, checking in tomorrow. And they're like, oh, well, because you booked on points, we don't actually have space for you anywhere. And y'all, I'm strangling the microphone because there were other things that I wanted to strangle at that moment. If I could have reached through that phone and got and so they were like, well, you're just SOL. And so who do I call? Because she had already helped us with all the park tickets, the experiences and everything. I text Kristin and then go, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. Can you help me find a hotel for these 3 days? And it was like Halloween weekend. Mm-hmm. It was this stupid, and if y'all don't know, Disney does extra. Disney does extra well. And they have extra things during the Halloween season, they do spooky nights and things like that. And so it's a popular time for people to go and experience these things. So I am in tears and I'm text messaging Kristin. And within 90 minutes, you had me booked in a hotel. it was with walking distance
To Magic Kingdom.
to Magic Kingdom. And like my heart stopped because I was just like, oh, like
we can have a vacation still.
yes, like we will have a bed to sleep in tomorrow. Like, we won't have to be sleeping on the parking lot in Magic Kingdom. Like, y'all, like you don't understand. Like that was huge. And so like just something as simple as that. And that's not simple, actually. That's a major thing, actually. That's, but like that is.
Those are the things. I mean, even if you didn't have a dinner reservation or you didn't have, or something got canceled and then it's like, okay, I have my kids and I'm in the middle of the park and I don't know what to do. She can help. Like,
right. It's like
the little things or the big things, like having a travel agent who has assisted your travel. There's a perk in that.
yeah.
Well, and two, we don't stop working the day you leave. Like we are working with you until you are done with your vacation. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, you're just going to stop when I arrive. And I'm like, I'm on call your entire trip. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, within reason, obviously.
Yeah.
I try and get you to, message me before 9 or 10 p.m. And I'm up early, but I'm always there for you for that same instance. Like, oh, what do we do? This just happened. Or the other day, last month, I had a client call me. What's the time frame that we can show up for our dining reservation? We're not even on like transportation over there. And so her not knowing that, she was in a panic mode. And I said, you're good. You've got this time. Try and be there by this time. But just explain to them what happened. They'll probably be able to work with you. And it like calmed her nerves. They got over there plenty of time. They enjoyed their lunch. And that was it. But she, you're going to have times of panic.
Yeah.
Like that something's not going right because that's vacation. Mm-hmm. It doesn't always go by the book, by the plan. And I honestly tell people, like, just be prepared for that. Like, go in with an idea, but know that you're going to have to maybe pivot or change or, call me and we can help you get through it.
Yeah.
Which is really another thing, too, to have that person behind the scenes that knows the ins and outs of where you're traveling and has been there and done it themselves or guided others on it, because you'd be surprised the stuff that pops up.
Yeah.
Like, and even just life happenings, I've had to move trips last minute, like very last minute. But then I've also added somebody onto a trip very last minute because they're like, hey, we can go, it worked out now. And so great, let's get you, on that vacation that you guys deserve after everything. So it's one of those things to have that extra person in your corner to make your trip a little more like vacation that you don't have to worry about is just truly can be a blessing for a lot of people too.
Yeah.
Hey, Housewives, we want to share with you one of the resources we absolutely love and use all the time. It is the Audible Premium Plus membership. You know how we talk about books pretty much every episode?
Our new podcast one day will be a book and a podcast.
Exactly.
We love to read.
Exactly.
But do we have time? No.
So we're sharing with you guys the Audible Premium Plus membership because that's how we consume all these books.
We know you're in the carpool lanes. We know you're driving your kids to and from practices. You're always on the go, doing laundry, doing dishes, and you can have those AirPods in your ears. With this membership, you get 1 free Audible to start. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you get 2 free audiobooks.
Isn't that incredible? And then let's say there's some extra books that you want for the month. You get 30% off the price. So you're saving money there too. And you can cancel at any time. And if you cancel, the books that you've already purchased or already gotten through the membership are yours to keep, no matter what. And you get unlimited access to Audible Plus, the catalog. And they've got their own books. They've got Audible Originals, their own original podcasts that you can't find anywhere else. It's an incredible resource for moms on the go. And so we'll put the link in the show notes for you. And this is a perfect way. If you want to get some more reading in, you can absolutely do it this way and support our podcast. Okay, so then let me ask you this. For families that are thinking about doing a Disney trip in the future, what are a couple of tips for them as they start to budget or look at their calendars? Do you suggest look 2 years in advance or look 90 days? What would you suggest? What are a couple things as they just start the idea of, wait, is Disney, maybe we can do Disney?
Well, if there is a very strict budget, which usually there is, I usually like to say 6 to 12 months. Right now, to kind of give you a forefront, 2024 is not even open to book. So that'll probably open about this summer. but then the whole entire year will be able to be booked out. So depending on the time of year as well. Are you wanting to go during peak season or non-peak season? Holidays, Christmas, school out, spring break. Let's be real, spring break season in Florida is about 6 weeks because they're having to negate the entire country's schedule. But if you're going to go at a prime time, you want to actually plan earlier because those times will book up quickly. Now, peak season or non-peak season, it's a little bit easier to plan a little bit closer to. Trying to think a little bit with that. It's also cheaper the farther out you go. Mm-hmm. So say in June when it opens, that's going to be your best pricing. And that's usually typically every brand that you work with. Cruise lines, all-inclusives, the farther out you book, they're going to give you that incentive by making it a little bit cheaper. The closer it gets, the more that they see, oh, this weekend's real popular in our search. That's going to tell their search, we're going to up the price a little bit.
Yeah,
they have an algorithm. It's just like when you go search for Airbnbs, things like that. If you spend enough time looking at the same one, by the third or fourth search, your price has gone up $100, $200 a night. Okay, so keep that in mind.
This just doesn't bode for a procrastinator like us.
Yeah, it doesn't. I just booked a family the end of May. They had 3 children, 16 and up. One's graduating college, waiting to get into med school. And we literally just booked them under like $4,000 for a Disney trip. And because there was a deal. And I said, luckily, and that's to say, I searched. And I said, hey, here's this price. And I was like, I don't think that's going to be, I think there's a better deal. Found him a better deal. And so you can still do it in the short term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But long term, because a lot of people want to save money, it does take them time to budget that out. The good thing with most brands is your final payment, for example, Disney, is not due till 30 days out. It's only a $200 deposit to do a package deal. So say in June you book for next year, you only have to put $200 down. That gives you up until 30 days out to pay the entirety of your trip, which most of my clients, I've had one client do monthly payments, like the first of every month, they had it budgeted that she would pay that. Everybody else just stock kind of piles it in an account and then does their final payment at the end.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's address this, because is Disney on a budget actually possible, or is it just a pipe dream for families?
It really can be. I've worked with that's the first question I ask. Is there a budget? A lot of times people are like, no, this is like a one-time, or we've been saving up for this particular trip. A lot of times it's a surprise. So they want to kind of go all out for their kids. But those that have a budget, I've been able to work within their budget. Disney has different categories of rooms available. Their hotels go from a value to a deluxe. If you're on a really tight budget, you're probably going to look in that value range for the hotels, but they fit everybody's budget, which is great. And then, then we can play around with park days. They have park ticket options. You've got base tickets or park hopper based on what you want to do and where you want to spend your time and money. So, but too, with that dining, we can talk about dining. There's options for dining. Like I said earlier, we were talking about this morning, you can bring your own food into the parks. A lot of people don't realize that. So if you don't want to spend all your money on dining in Disney, because it can be expensive, you can get grocery delivery to your hotel, bring in your own snacks, bring in your own sandwiches or your lunch. There's places to have picnics. We see it all the time. The biggest one too is water.
That was us.
Bottled water is like $3.50. Guess what? You can get a 24-pack from Publix or the local grocery store for like $4.50.
Yeah. Delivered. Go back to our Practically Speaking episode where Tracy Ann and I sing the praises of Instacart.
I was about to do it again.
Okay.
Because we did our Disney trip on a budget. Now, I have to say it's not fair because no one hopefully will ever have this chance again. But we went in 2021 right after the parks opened. So we booked in January of 2021 for spring break of March of 2021. Now, the hard part for us is when we booked in January, and we did this all on our own. I don't think I even knew that you were doing a Disney travel agent, and Tori knew about my trip, and she's like, you need to ask Kristin for tips. So then I did last minute, but I didn't get to use you for the planning portion, but the helpful portion of the knowledge definitely came in handy. But we booked it in January, and at the time, the park was only going to be open from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. because they hadn't even opened full hours yet. But we were like, listen, we're trying to squeeze this in, and this is the only time to do it on a budget. We got an Airbnb with my best friend's family. You guys, this house was crazy because no one was going to Disney. This Airbnb was so cheap. It had its own pool. It had a movie theater. It had a game room. Like, we just got the steal, granted, because of the situation. But we have 4 kids, and we stayed at a house. We did Magic Kingdom one day and Hollywood Studios another day. And we did it in under $6,000 for a week for 6 of us. And so, but we also, that was what I was going to say for the Instacart, we had the groceries delivered to our house. We cooked every meal, almost every meal. We did have, a couple that we did for just quick things, but we took all of our water. We took all the snacks for kids because they're going to be hungry and standing in lines. And so we just had our backpack coolers and made it totally worth it. Since it was a short trip for us, or not short trip, but we wanted to have the day and make the most of it. We didn't want to do a dinner, and we didn't want to take time away because this was probably our one and only trip for at least a while. Maybe grandkids will go again. But we just knew that's what it was going to be.
So, budget is totally possible.
100%. Yeah. And that's just it. It's basically what you're comfortable spending. We've got other tips where if you don't want to spend the money on the souvenirs, because let's be real, your kids are going to want to walk out. I'm guilty of letting my children pick something out every trip, but we try to keep it in a budgeted number. But there are Disney souvenirs you can get and then bring with you if you've got the space. I know several parents will do that to save a little bit. Their younger kids don't have a clue because they've kind of hidden them away in the suitcase.
Yeah.
And so magically it shows up one day and it's like, oh, look what Mickey left you. So there's ways that you can surprise them and do little drops like that with them. That still makes it magical, but you're not having to spend a lot of money on merchandise and souvenirs. Plus, you already have that in your suitcase. So you're not having to figure out how to get everything home because it's already got its space. Which is, Tori and I have that problem, I think.
Overpacking.
Oh, yeah, I'm an overpacker. I don't get how people do that whole carry-on thing, and that's just
nonsense.
I'm getting really good at it. So that can be another one because I'm learning to underpack or utilize my space. But yeah, very difficult for me to do. Other things, not a lot of people, or not everybody wants to sit down to a meal because they can take out a lot of time of your day. But quick services, we find actually, some of them are big enough sizes that we can share. Like our kids can share the chicken nuggets and fries, or my husband and I, maybe we want to try multiple things. So we'll share this lunch and then we're going to have a snack later.
Yeah.
Or we'll share dinner and have dessert.
Yeah.
Because we want to try that. Another little tip, if you like popcorn, is to buy the popcorn bucket. And it is kind of an investment. It's like $13 now for the popcorn bucket, but it's reusable.
Yeah.
And then the refills are like $2.25.
And all the parks, because we bought it on the first day. That
Yes.
was a tip I think you gave us. And on the first day, and then when we went to Hollywood Studios, we just took it with us and they refilled it once we wanted our popcorn and were able to eat it.
Exactly. And we still take ours back in the hopes that they'll fill it. We've never been turned down, even if though it changes.
Yeah.
Like they've got the 100-year anniversary ones out now, which I think we're going to have to get on our next trip. We have a collection started, but it's one of those that they're good your entire length of your trip. The other one is at the resorts. They're only good for the resorts, but they have refillable cups. They're about $22 now, but you can refill them as many times as you want on your resort or at your resort. So if you are soda drinkers, that's really great because a regular cup is going to be like $4 every single time that you refill it.
Or even iced tea, right?
Or iced tea. Yes, iced tea
would be the other one I'm thinking of.
That would be the two, yeah. And then it's just the only things that you can't put in there are like milk and juice. But coffee, you can put coffee in there as much as you want, which usually is the line of parents in the morning.
They're like, here we go. Let's load up.
Let's load that up. And then too, they offer free ice water in the parks. Anywhere that is a quick service as free ice water. So take your reusable water bottle. Not everybody loves Florida water, but in a pinch on a hot day, that ice is really nice to add to your water. So if you're willing to do, that kind of stuff to save a few dollars, it's definitely doable.
Yeah. Well, and then I would also say too, even if it's a thought, right? Like you're like, I know I want to do this in the future. Like it would be worth it to reach out to you or somebody and say, hey, this is something that we're looking at. This is like kind of our parameters, family of 6, family of 4, whatever. Because then when those promo deals drop or whatever, even if it's last minute, like you're already thinking
You're on my radar.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. And so you're thinking like, okay, this is, and if you have special, like we'd really love to go to, do a Christmas thing. Like those would be the things that, it doesn't hurt to have the conversation. So, you're looking for them, or because I know you're looking for people anyways, and then when something drops, you're like, oh, wait, this person said that they were looking for something.
Exactly.
And they'd be willing to do last minute. So here we go,
And like I said, like I just booked a family and I was like, oh, I'm not, let's just go in and see, because usually deals, they can go pretty quick for certain resorts. But this one came up so quickly. I was like, it's going to be around for a little bit. And it is. It's still out there. They've got a bunch, they've got actually probably through September, they've got deals. So it's one of those things you can go really quick on a budget if you'd like. You can also plan out if you need to save for it. So that's what I love about Disney is there's so much flexibility for each individual family.
Well, and I think that's awesome that you're pointing it out, because before we had our first trip, the overwhelming thought of planning a trip and having 4 kids and going and everything was, my husband and I always said, we're going when we're done with diapers and sippy cups, like that was, we will wait until then. And that was pretty much what we did. Our daughter, I think our youngest was 5 or 6 when we went. And it really gave us that like flexibility to not have the extra stuff with us. We still took a little stroller because there was a lot of walking. But I do have a question. So if someone is planning a Disney trip, but it's kind of like Tori, if they want to do half Disney, half beach, do you take care of that whole trip too, or just the Disney portion?
It kind of depends on what they're looking for. Obviously, we can't book VRBOs or Airbnbs, but I can give you some guidance. For instance, if you're going to like Clearwater or Tampa area or Sarasota, I've got a lot of experience, personal travel there, that I could be like, oh, this is a great restaurant. Make sure you hit this. Our agency doesn't do airfare. But I always tell people, well, here's why. Because you might have, I know you guys have a lot of Marriott points. We have a lot of Southwest points. You want to book and save on your travel that way. That's better that you deal one-on-one with the airline, especially too, if there's a cancellation, you having to call me if you're standing right there with the airline. It's better that you just work with them direct.
Okay.
But I can give guidance. Certain things like I can do regular hotels chains. So if you guys want to do a hotel chain on the beach or a resort on the beach, I can hook you up with that as well. So if it's not within my realm, I will either try and find somebody that within our agency that does know that, or find recommendations, because we've got people traveling all over the country. We have agents all over the country. So if I personally don't have the experience, someone else does. So I will reach out to them to get recommendations where they've stayed, because we love to give personal recommendations, because that's just it. Like, that's the best service, is when you can say, oh, this was really great because I stayed there.
Right.
It's something I experienced. But it kind of just depends. If you're driving down and you need recommendations on where to stay or things to see, I can, see what I've got. I've got a cool little tour company I work with too, that you can go type in where you're at and it'll pull up all the tours that they offer in that area.
That's cool.
And like ticket prices. Like, did you guys know in Kansas City, we have scavenger hunts downtown?
No.
Found those yesterday. Because somebody's like, oh, check, you should use, it's called Buyer Tour. But it was like, oh, I've never done that for Kansas City. So I went in and it's like scavenger hunt downtown. And I was like, Segway tour downtown. I was like, this is really cool. So it's something to, look into. I can give you guys the link for the show notes. Yeah. That way they can check it out for their own town, or even like, hey, we're going to wherever this summer. We need something to do. It's a good place to start. That's where a lot of the tour companies are going, is to a main hub.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think about this as like most families maybe travel once a year, typically on a vacation, right? Not visiting family, not doing that, right? And like, so for somebody, it takes such a weight off when you're not traveling as much. Like even, you can even suggest things. You've had your kiddos on planes since they were babies. And so just the knowledge of like, okay, this is going to be our first trip. That's, first airplane ride with babies that are more than 4 hours. What would you suggest? Or, how would you plan this layover? Or, even something as simple too, like even in the Disney parks when you're like, okay, before you leave, go to the dollar store, buy a poncho, buy 4 of them, put them in your backpack. You're going to bring those because otherwise, it's going to rain at some point while you're at Disney.
That's just Florida.
Right, exactly.
In Florida, yeah.
Yeah. And so you're like, spend the money there at the dollar store, bring it with you. And that way you're not in line with everybody else buying the $20 ponchos from Disney. Like just the experience and just the little things that you don't think of. I know that you send your clients like checklists and,
yes.
And the extra, and you go the extra mile of just texting them like, hey, how's it going? Or I remember changing a reservation with you via text and like, hey, we don't want to do the sit down dinner anymore because we're standing in line somewhere. And you're like, got it. It's canceled. We can move it somewhere else. Or honestly, like you knowing how often you go to Disney, like not only you've eaten probably at 95% of all the restaurants and resorts,
yes,
or stayed in 95% of the resorts, yes, or walk through them so you can know like the themes. Like, did you know that every resort in Disney, I'm talking to our audience, I know you know, but has like a theme and has like things to do where you could stay at the resort for a day and do fun things and activities and not be at a park. Like those are the things that are so worth the time to have the conversation with you and those experiences. Like that's just priceless.
Exactly. And I actually always recommend having an off day during your Disney trip because everybody's like, I want to go. Actually had a client tell me they spent 16 and a half hours at Magic Kingdom one day without any meltdowns, which I was amazed because they had like a 4-year-old to 16, 18-year-old. But that's not for everybody. Mm-hmm. And so having that off day where you get to enjoy the resort, there's always activities at the resorts, whether it's movies or they've got staff or cast members at the pools running activities all day, which is, the kids love the pool, but also love the activities. Mm-hmm. So it gives you kind of a time as a parent to kind of take a little breather as well, because we all need that. Even if we're on vacation, like it doesn't matter where you go, there's going to be moments where everybody just kind of, you want to breathe on your vacation.
You need to decompress.
Yeah. So making sure you plan that into your day. And that's why I'm here. I can plan as much of your trip as you want. I have a lot of travelers that still like a lot of input, but I take away the stress and the overwhelm. And I give them that like, oh, we're on vacation. I don't have to worry about that. Or if I have that, then I can call her or text her and she's going to have the answer. And so that's why, once again, it's really important to work with a travel agent that knows the brand that you're traveling to and has a good, background in. Because like I said, we go several times a year. I'm actually going to be on 3 different cruises this year with Disney. So if that's something you guys want to do, I'm really excited to be able to share my experience with that in a couple of weeks. But that's just it, is going and experiencing it to be able to then say, this is how you can do it and actually feel like you're on a vacation.
So those will be Disney cruises at 3 different locations or 3 different types of Disney cruises?
So it's a funny story. I booked one with another agent because we thought, well, let's go. It's a quick weekend one. Then we talked about doing one as a family, and the one we ended up picking, because it was the most reasonable one and the time frame, is the same one. And then the next day I found out that our conference for our agency is going to be a cruise this year, and it's going to be the same 3-day cruise. So I am going to have the ins and outs of the Disney Wish 3-day cruise. By the end of the year, I will be able to walk you through it. But actually, it's really good. I'm really excited about it because it's a 3-day cruise. So if you've never been on a cruise, it's a good way to give it a try. So that's why we decided with our family, our kids and my mom have never been on a cruise. And so we thought 3 days, it's quick. I know some people are like, oh, that's not a vacation. But I'm like, I don't know if they're going to like this. So it's a good way to try it out, to kind of get a feel for it. And if they really like it, then we're going to book a longer one probably next year. We actually are already on another Royal Caribbean cruise next year that's a week long. And I want to make sure before we, pay that off, spend that money for that they actually enjoy being on a ship for that long. Yeah. So not a lot of people realize there are 3 and 4 day cruises out there. They all think that they're like 6, 7, 8, but there really can be short, especially if you just need a quick getaway. Best thing about a cruise, You pay for it, you show up, and unless you do an excursion, you don't have any other expenses, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for parents, if they want to have a drink or whatnot. But for the most part, everything's included. Why not?
It's an all-inclusive.
It's like an all-inclusive on a boat. So, and there's so much to do. Disney has so much between Broadway shows, the activities, the water coaster.
Well.
They do it well. The characters. The October one is actually going to be a Halloween-themed one. So, I'm pretty excited about that. There's pirate night. So we get to dress up as pirates. We'll have fireworks on the boat. They still do fireworks. And if you've ever seen Disney fireworks, they are the bomb, literally. They are so good. And so they don't leave anything unturned. Like they've got everything for you on the boat as well as they would in the parks.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Okay. So we're going to have all of Kristin's contact information in the show notes. So if this is something that has got you thinking, you can reach out to her personally on her Instagram, and her email will be there as well. And then, so for those that are looking at Disney, I hope this is kind of giving y'all an idea, because I know Tracy's done Disney with her family. I've done Disney, and it is so fun. And the pictures and the experience, the memories are worth it.
I need a redo, because ours was 2021 and
That's
we all
true,
had to wear masks 24/7, and those pictures suck.
Yeah. So
I need a redo.
So after this, Tracy's going to book a trip with Kristin. So
and I'm really excited, even more so now, because I don't know that it'll be Disney, but I have some ideas I need to be going over with her, because I like the future planning. I'm such a procrastinator. We both are, and my husband and I both. And I think it would be something that, if we can look to the future and have less stress and not last minute things, it would be great.
Yeah. Well, let's see if Kristin can help Tracy not procrastinate in her traveling experiences.
If anyone else has any advice, let me know.
But I know for sure that this will not be the last time we have Kristin on here, because she is a wealth of knowledge. And like Tracy and I said, our love languages is travel. And we think every family, it should be affordable and doable for every single family, for sure, and every single marriage. And we can talk about that next too. But thank you so much, housewives. Thank you, Kristin, for giving us your knowledge.
Thank you for having me.
And until next time, housewives.
Thank you. Have a great week. Whether we made you laugh or cry today, we pray you feel appreciated, bolder and braver than yesterday, stronger and more faithful for tomorrow, and living in who you were made to be today.
Join our online community on Facebook, link in the show notes, and be sure to review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you enjoy listening. Until next time, housewives, we give you permission to walk confidently, free, and to be intentional in your slippers or stilettos.